I'm Paul Pouliot, and my wife Denise here is one of the new trustees of the museum, and she's doing the basket making here. I'm Abnaki. I'm a mixed Wabanaki, with a little Micmac, a little Huron, a little Abnaki type thing, but my genealogy goes back to the 1600s. It's difficult to do if the splint isn't thick enough.
The secondary splitting.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a salvage job. I'm trying to salvage something that's pretty precious because the wood is harder and harder to find.
And what is that wood?
This is black ash, brown ash.
Mm-hmm.
It's as opposed to the white ash that is more common. The black ash is a swamp ash. Here in New Hampshire and elsewhere, we found that white ashes that have acclimatized to living in swamps take on the characteristics of the black ash. So
Really?
we've been fortunate to find kind of like a subspecies of white ash that grows in swamps. We found it here in New Hampshire and in Vermont. And what we've been doing is harvesting these and experimenting with it because the black ash is becoming rarer and rarer. I have a handful of trees. There's some right not too far from here I can show you. But we go by the bark, the wood, and the leaves. These hybrids, these crossovers of the white ash, or what we call them white swamp ash, have the bark of the black ash, but the leaves of the white ash. And they have a marginal quality wood which works for splinting. So for now, we've got a stopgap. We've got these hybrids that are growing here and there in different places that are kind of in between. So we're fortunate. We've been harvesting these and making splint, but the true splint is getting harder and harder to find. This, we believe, is a white ash that thinks it's black ash or brown ash. But by the leaves, when you talk to botanists, the leaves do not match up with the black ash or the brown ash. Bark that does. The bark is corky. It's easily friable, like you can break it off, whereas a white ash is very furrowed and very definitive.
Yes.
These brown black ashes have a corky bark that you can put your fingers in and peel it off. You can break off the bark. This is what we're finding. We're finding white ash that are giving off the bark similar to the brown ash and has a workable product inside. They tend to be lighter in color, more indicative of white ash, but they do split. You can make splint out of it. And we've been kind of working with this product for a while.
Now, with the black ash or brown ash, you said it's a swamp tree. Is it found, with its roots in the water, or does it like just to be near the water?
Well, every place I've found this hybrid is always on a southern shore of a swampy area. In other words, it's kind of like, it's not on the north side of a wet area where you get more sun. It seems to fall on the south side along a tree line between that and the swamp. That's what I've been finding as a pattern.
So an area that's apt to be shady or at least partial shade?
Well, case in point, there's this heron rookery over here.
Yes.
In the backwoods. I found one or two of these hybrid ash on the south end of that water body. I didn't find any on the east or west as I approached in there, and I didn't go on the north side because where I did find one or two of them, they were on the south side. So it does seem to have a preference because the swamp that I have in Alton, I have 20 some odd trees along the full length of the wetlands on the same side, on that southern side. So it seems to follow a preference, and they don't seem to grow much further than a couple 100 feet from where the wetlands are. What's in the forest there is hemlock and some balsam fir are growing in the swamp, but it seems to be, it's always growing on the edges.
So it likes to be with conifers and
It seems to be with conifers, yeah. And I don't know if that's a pattern or it's a mixed nature of the beast, so to speak. If you find a white ash next to it, it's like one's confused in its orientation, its gender, its species, and the other one isn't. And you'll find them almost literally within 10 feet of one another, and you say, why did this white ash morph into this variety? It could be just a matter of moisture content. I'm not sure. We've asked botanists, we've asked foresters, and they all laugh at us and say they're all white ash. And they always take the same approach, but we haven't got the definitive answer why. It's kind of one of those things that should go to UNH to them and say, why is this doing this? And maybe it's something we can raise with them.
Sounds like a master's thesis topic.
Right, like why is it doing it?
Right.
And they're going to say, no, genetically it's absolutely a white ash, but it's the wood characteristics we're interested in. If you look at your basket collection and you look at historically, you find some baskets morphed into things like cups, wall hangings, strawberries. They because the native people were trying to replicate other art they had seen, and this started in the early 1900s. We see when the flappers had their silk purses, we see Abenaki and Indians, by Abenaki and Wabanaki, I'd say, Penobscot, Passamaquoddy, Micmac, started making purses to look like these fancy silk purses, and they made them out of ash because those are the materials they had. So you see certain things in time being replicated by indigenous people using their resources. And that's what you see, some of these odd things, purses that have been highly decorated and what have you, was to replicate European art at different times. And tourism. Tourism is a big thing. Buying an Indian basket, an Indian toy canoe, an Indian wigwam or something was very common.